Today we're taking a gentle, but I think really necessary look at a piece of source material we came across. It's a guide titled How to Overcome Depression. And what's fascinating here, it's not that it's, some revolutionary new cure.
Not at all.
It's the way it speaks, the language that has this radical clarity. It's slow, it's gentle. It feels less like a clinical manual and more like a simple primer for when life just feels heavy.
That phrase, feels heavy, I think that really captures it.
It does. So our mission today is to pull out those core actionable ideas, the small bits of wisdom. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, and the guide really starts from that feeling, doesn't it? It validates that sense of being overwhelmed. The whole premise is that, look, even when you feel lost or just profoundly sad, there is a path forward.
Right.
And what we're really digging into is its philosophy of making the commitment to action so small, so tiny, that it feels almost impossible not to do it. It's all about finding that one small step.
Before we even get to the steps, though, the guide spends some time defining the feeling itself. And I think this is so crucial for validation. It's very, very clear. This is not just sadness.
Right, that's the first line in the sand. If you look at the text, it defines depression as a long, deep feeling that makes life difficult.
And that's different from sadness.
It is. Sadness is usually tied to something specific, right? It passes. This is describing something that sticks around, something that gets in the way of just living your life. And it uses that definition to immediately tell you, the reader, what you're feeling is real. It's valid.
And it gives us a few specific signs to recognize. For example, that feeling of just being tired all the time, slowed down.
Yeah, and it's a tiredness that sleep doesn't seem to fix. It's more than physical. That's like a mental drag.
Yeah.
The guide also talks a lot about losing interest in things.
Things you used to love.
Exactly. That loss of joy is such a key signal because it's not just a bad mood. It's a real shift in how your brain processes pleasure and motivation.
I also found the third symptom it lists to be really poignant. It's that feeling of being alone, even when you're in a room full of people.
It really gets that internal disconnect, that isolation. But, and this is important, right after listing all these really difficult feelings, it pivots immediately. The language becomes so warm. It says, and I'm quoting here, your feelings are real. Your feelings matter. It makes acceptance the absolute first step. Before you do anything else, you just accept.
And that acceptance, that foundation, leads right into the first piece of actual advice, which is communication.
Just talking.
Just talking. It doesn't ask you to solve anything. It just asks you to open what it calls a small door to let some light in.
And I love this part.
Yeah.
It completely removes the pressure of needing to find the perfect words.
Yeah.
So many people stay silent because they feel like they can't possibly explain the mess inside.
Yeah, they feel like they need an eloquent speech.
Right. And the guide just says, forget that.
That's the real nugget here. You don't need to summarize your life story. The source says you can just say something as simple as, I feel sad every day.
Or even just, I think I need help.
Exactly. The power isn't in the explanation, it's just in the act of saying something.
And that very small act of communication is the bridge to the next step, which is getting professional guidance. The source is pretty direct here. It says if the sadness feels too strong, you need to find help.
A doctor, a therapist, it calls this step very important.
It does, but it also completely reframes what seeking help means. There's often this lingering idea that it's a sign of weakness.
That you've somehow failed if you can't fix it yourself.
Yeah, and this guide just flips that whole script. It explicitly calls seeking help an act of courage.
I love that. It's not weakness, it's courage.
It is. The text frames a professional as someone who gives you tools, who gives you support. Not someone who fixes you, but someone who helps you arm yourself for a difficult fight. You are the one taking the strong, proactive step.
That shift in perspective is so powerful. It puts you back in the driver's seat, even when you feel like you have no energy at all. It's an act of self-respect.
It is. And that idea that even the smallest action is a display of strength, that brings us to the really practical core of the guide.
This moves us into the section called Small Steps for Your Daily Life. And this is where the guide, I think, is just brilliant because it tackles that feeling of inertia head on.
Yeah.
It says right away, look, these things aren't going to fix everything in one day, but they're small. They build on each other. Here's where it gets really interesting.
This is the genius of the source, I think. It's the radical manageability of it all. When you're in that heavy place, the gap between knowing you should do something and actually doing it can feel like a canyon.
Totally insurmountable.
Right. So these 5 steps, they're engineered to be so small they can just slip right past that wall of resistance in your brain.
So let's break them down. The first one is movement, and we are not talking about running a marathon.
No, not even close.
The instruction is so specific. 5 minutes is enough. A short walk, a few small stretches.
That 5-minute window is the key. It's a length of time that doesn't trigger that's too hard response in your brain. The goal isn't to get fit. The goal is just to break the inertia.
To show yourself that you can move.
Yes. It's a guaranteed small win. It's built right into the design.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So what's step 2?
Step 2 is nature. And again, if leaving the house feels impossible, the requirement is incredibly low.
You don't have to go on a hike.
Yeah, you don't even have to leave your property. It says just spend time outside, stand on your porch, open a window.
Yeah.
The specific instruction is to look at the sky, feel the air. It's about simple sensory input.
Just reminding your body that there's a world outside your head.
Exactly. The source suggests that nature has this inherent calming quality, and you can access it with almost no effort.
Then we get to the really basic stuff. Fuel. Nutrition. Which, when you feel totally apathetic, cooking can feel like climbing Everest.
And the guide is so sensitive about this. It doesn't lecture you about kale smoothies. It just says try to eat something healthy. And it adds, even a small meal helps your energy.
The pressure is off.
Completely.
Yeah.
The priority is just getting some fuel in your body, not creating a perfect meal plan.
Okay, so the 4th step is about rest. But it's interesting. It's not just about getting more sleep. It's about consistency. The advice is to sleep at a regular time.
Yes, this is so insightful. Just telling someone who's depressed to get more sleep is often useless because their sleep is already disrupted. But focusing on a regular schedule, even if it's not perfect, it gives your body a rhythm to hold on to.
A structure.
A structure. It's a basic act of self-care. Your body needs that rhythm.
And the last one, number 5, I think is my favorite. It's enjoyment. But it's not a command to be happy.
No, thank goodness.
It's about bringing small joys back into your day. Just do one small thing you enjoy.
And the examples are so simple. A song, a warm drink, a simple hobby. This is so important because depression often robs you of the ability to feel pleasure.
Right.
So by deliberately doing one of these tiny pre-approved things, you're basically retraining the reward pathways in your brain to fire again, even just a little bit. The guide says it so beautifully, small joys matter.
It's the recognition that tiny little sparks can eventually bring back the flame.
That's it.
So if you think about it, the cumulative effect is pretty powerful. You do 5 minutes of stretching, you look at the sky for a minute, you listen to one song you like.
And suddenly you've collected 3 small victories on a day that felt impossible.
Exactly. And that whole approach, that commitment to consistency over intensity, that's what fights back against that harsh inner critic.
Which brings us perfectly to the final major theme, which is the philosophy of self-kindness that just, it underpins this whole guide. It speaks directly to that internal voice that says, you're not good enough.
The guide gives you these gentle but really powerful affirmations. They're designed to disarm that self-judgment. For instance, it tells you to remind yourself, you are doing your best. And that's so critical because your best on a really heavy day might just be getting out of bed. And that's okay.
That's more than okay. The guide recognizes that effort. And then there's the next line, you are still here.
Which just acknowledges the endurance it takes, the courage just to keep going.
That perseverance is strength.
Yeah.
And the last affirmation is just, you are trying. And the source is clear. That is strong. This connects everything back to those small actions.
Yeah.
Just trying to do one of them is a huge deal, and it deserves respect.
So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to force a smile.
No. You just have to be gentle with yourself. The core message is simply, that is okay. Healing takes time.
So what does this all mean? When you strip it all down, this guide gives us a roadmap with 2 main pillars. First, you have to validate the pain and find the courage to get professional support. And second, you commit to this toolkit of tiny minimum effort daily actions that build momentum. It's a philosophy of slow, steady, gentle progress. It ends with this really powerful plea. You deserve support, you deserve care, you deserve peace.
I think the biggest takeaway for you, for anyone listening, is how incredibly non-intimidating this all is. The guide isn't asking for some huge life overhaul. It's asking for 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah. So if we really embrace that philosophy, the final call to action is to take one small step today and another tomorrow. So maybe consider, right now, which one of those 5-minute steps, a little movement, looking at the sky, that warm drink, Which one is the absolute easiest possible thing you could do?
The path of least resistance.
Exactly. Focus on that single, easiest commitment. Because according to this guide, that's the real first step toward making your heart feel just a little bit lighter.